Hogstye.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the final pre-game show for the Hogstye in the 2020, well, it's 2022 now, 2021 season. This is Alex, I got Steve, and I got Jamal here. So we got the full crew for this final show of the season. Guys, I hope you are doing good. It's been an eventful week for Washington. A lot of stuff being announced about the future of the team that we're going to get into. But first, before we talk about that, I just want to put this out there. Our good buddy Rick Snyder, who, he's been one of our longtime guests, really a friend, even to me, because, I've dealt with him outside of the show quite a bit. He unfortunately has had another stroke, which is sad news. I think he had one less than 6 months ago. It was fairly recent.
He put this on Twitter, by the way. We're not.
Yeah. I'm not blowing up anything here.
Yeah.
But I just want to put this out there to our listeners. If you are if you listen to this show, you've probably been listening to Rick's show too. So if you could just put some well wishes out there on his social media pages, because I'm sure he's going through a hard time now after a second stroke. That can be pretty demoralizing. And he's said he's taking it easy. He's at least able to tweet, so that's a good sign. I've dealt with a lot of strokes in my family. There are really bad ones where you can't do anything. So,
in terms of Seasons of Discontent, we have no idea what's going to go on with that show. He hasn't told us anything. So
right. Well, we're not going to bother him about that now.
No. But if you don't see it, this is why.
Right. So, Rick, our thoughts are with you if you listen to this, and I hope you can recover quickly and get better soon. I don't know if there's anything else to add to that, guys. Because it's kind of just a weird down subject.
Yeah, our best wishes to him, certainly.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about what happened this week, guys.
This is Alex, nerd time of the century.
This is my time. Nobody else has been more ready for this moment than me, because I've literally been redesigning the Redskins uniform probably since I was 8 years old.
Since certainly the day I met you.
Yes, I was doing it with crayons at one point. So, the Washington football team has announced that February 2nd, they will be releasing the new name, releasing new uniforms, and all that other good stuff. I doubt we'll get a stadium announcement, but they're at least doing those two big things.
Definitely will not be that. I can promise you that.
No. And, some people are like, well, maybe Dan Snyder will announce it. No, Dan Snyder's not going to say anything. He's not going to announce it.
That's not how major real estate deals work.
No. But yeah, they've released some videos, and there were some sneak peeks of the new uniform in there. They didn't really hint at much with the name, but there were some things that got kind of leaked, kind of unofficially leaked about what it could be.
Don't hold back, Alex. Tell us.
All right, so I think the first thing with the name. Apparently, JP Finley found out that WashingtonAdmirals.com was redirecting to the Redskins website or Washington football team website. By the way, Redskins.com still redirects to the current website.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything. Southwest Airlines has Southworst. And if you type in Southwest Airlines, it goes to a page on their website. It doesn't mean anything.
Absolutely. If I were so inclined, I could, create a website and redirect it to wherever I want. I could have hogstye.com redirect to Redskins.com if we wanted. That it's one line of code. It's not very hard to do that.
And by the way, for the record, I just tried while Alex was talking. We're going to do this.
Yeah, it now goes to the UVA website, right?
WashingtonAdmirals.com. It was Washington Admirals, right?
Yes.
It goes to something called thegivingkitchen.org.
So it's been redirected twice now because somebody moved it and had it going to the UVA website.
Alex, from a technical standpoint, can anybody redirect any website if you know what you're doing?
No. You have to own the URL.
Okay.
So like how we have to pay a hosting fee and all that stuff. Yeah. So you buy your URL on a server host.
But
and
you
could
create
a little piece of code.
Well, but we could direct the Hogstye to go to like Pepsi if we wanted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I could. I'm not going to. But
no, that would be bad for us. But my point is, whoever owns Washington Admirals could have done that, and it would have been
exactly.
not necessarily the team. And again, it's now going to something called the Giving Kitchen. So
which is interesting. That's the third time it's changed where it's going.
So it doesn't mean anything is the point.
Yeah, I'm about to say that's funny because I had checked earlier today Admirals because I heard about that thing. The redirect, like it changed from Washington Football Team to something else, and I checked it today and it went to Washington Football Team.
Really?
So I wonder how many times it changed in a day. I don't know because Steve just looked at it right now and it's 9 p.m. Eastern. I looked at the Admirals thing at like maybe like 2 or 3. And they went to Washington Football Team today.
And you did Washington Admirals?
Yeah, and the thing is, and the reason why I brought it up is because before I had checked, they had said that it wasn't Washington Football Team anymore. Like it didn't redirect to Washington Football Team. So I just wonder how many times in a day did it actually change? Because when I went there, it went to Washington Football Team. It's kind of weird. I don't know how this stuff works in detail, but that's kind of crazy.
I think some nerd in his mother's basement's entertaining himself by continually changing it. That's what I think.
He could be in the attic too. We don't know what part of his mom's house he's in.
I don't think that
guy
could
he's in his mom's house. We know that.
Yeah, he's in definitely his mother's house.
Right. Yeah, so that was the first thing about the name. The bigger thing about the name, and this seemed to upset a lot of people, in the team's announcement, they've said, we're not doing Red Wolves. They said that there was legal issues, they couldn't get around, blah, 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 blah. The team lawyer on the video just being like, we couldn't do this because of legal things. And I don't think he got into the details of who was stopping them. But they made it sound like another team was stopping them.
Well, so no real entity has Washington Red Wolves.
Right.
Somebody has it, but it's one of these squatter types, there's a couple guys, not just our buddy Phil McCauley, a couple guys doing this. There's not a real team, but the real problem, I think, is probably the fact that the Minnesota Timberwolves, are the Wolves. And there's probably a college team or two out there that are similar. That's probably the real issue. It's not. They don't care about the squatters. It's probably the Timberwolves would be my.
We know there's a Red Wolves college team in.
Matter of fact, Rick Snyder put that out there. Steve, to your point, it was the Timberwolves. He said that. Matter of fact, I have the tweet because I had talked about it yesterday myself. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, sure. While you look for that, I'll say, there was and Twitter's full of rumors. There's somebody saying not even 24 hours before this that he had talked to somebody at is it Arkansas Red Wolves? I can't remember.
Arkansas Razorbacks.
That's Arkansas State.
Arkansas State. Thank you, Jamal. Yeah, he was saying they had contacted him because he had a friend there and said that Washington was paying them for the name Red Wolves. So, just goes to show you can't trust anything on Twitter, especially when it's tweeted from just random people who happen to be Giants fans, because they're the least trustworthy people of all.
New Yorkers.
Yeah. So Red Wolves is out. And
I think sounds like Jamal has the tweet.
Jamal, you got it?
Yeah. He said that you can blame the Minnesota Timberwolves for Washington not getting some Wolves named. The NBA team didn't want a bigger NFL team having Wolves and has all the variations trademarked. The team knew that 6 months ago.
There you go. See, me, you guys should trust because I do know these things.
Right. Right. Well, and you put your not actual. We have pseudonyms, but you put your voice to it at least.
Yes, I do.
Right. You are a personality.
Yes.
Yes. So you count random person on Twitter who probably has like a 420 or 69 in his, handle does not count. So they haven't really said what the name is, but in my opinion, if you start looking at the things that were released with the uniform images, there were some strong hints here as to what direction we're going.
It's like a Where's Waldo thing.
It is a Where's Waldo. It's I'm Inspector Clouseauing it a little bit.
Alex, don't hold back, Alex.
Okay, all right. So
not really.
The stuff they released with the uniform. One, they showed it's obviously still going to be a burgundy and gold uniform. The home uniform, not too different from where they are currently. It's burgundy. They've switched from white numbers to gold numbers. There's a weird thing with the numbers I can get into where they're like doing a fade pattern that I dislike because this is what Nike does. They ruin everything.
This is something I wouldn't even notice.
You probably wouldn't notice, but I notice it right away.
Okay.
It's that one of those things.
I didn't even know we had white numbers, so.
You didn't know our jerseys have white numbers?
No.
It's been that way for
aren't on the same page.
Yes, it has been that way since the 80s.
Oh,
We've had the same uniform since the 80s, so
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. So there's a little bit different sleeve stripe, which will be I actually think it looks better. It'll be higher up so you can see like a gold stripe on the sleeve. This is another weird thing they're doing. They put like stars inside the collar of the jersey so you'll never see it unless someone takes a jersey off. Makes no sense why they love doing this at Nike, but this is a thing they do.
I saw the stars. I saw the photo.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I mean, I saw in the tweet I looked at said that the DC flag has 3 stars on it.
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah.
That could be a reference to the District of Columbia.
Sure, exactly. But they put it somewhere where no one will see it, which again makes no sense.
Well, that's oddly appropriate for DC, is it not?
Yeah, there's a little bit of a metaphor there, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, so the stuff that they also released the helmet. They put a gold stripe on the center as opposed to what they have now with no stripes or anything. The logo, they didn't intentionally release the logo, but nerds like me were able to look at reflections in windows and things like that and figure out what the logo is. And it's basically a military font, like that stencil font that got really popular with military stuff. Steve, you're a military guy. Is that like a World War II thing when that probably started being a thing?
I don't know.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about when I say that stencil font, right?
Sort of. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at a thing on my wall right now that has something similar to it.
Right. So it's a stencil W, and it might have a Washington Monument in it, like incorporated in it. Hard to tell from the reflection because you're.
Yeah, let me stop you there because I saw this photo, and I think what you're talking about, Alex, is on the front they've got like a burgundy or a golden
W.
It looks like a stripe almost.
Oh,
but you can't see the whole thing, and so you could view that as a monument, which would go towards the idea that the team name may be Monuments. Is that
right?
What the theory is?
So yeah, in my mind, the team name is either one of 3 at this point. It's either Monument because they have a Washington Monument. It looks like in the logo. And it looks like a couple other places there's stuff that kind of indicates that. Or they're going Commanders or Admirals or something like that.
Well, such as what? What are the other clues that you may think it would be Monument?
Okay. On the close-up of the away uniform, it looks like there's a white and gray stripe going up the center.
I didn't see the away uniform. There's an away uniform photo?
There's 2 very close-up things of the away uniform. Yeah.
Oh.
And one looks to kind of have a Washington Monument drawn into it very faintly. Yeah.
Everybody but me, apparently.
Well, not everybody but you. This is just it could even be a shadow for all I know. That's the catch of it. Then there's some weird. They have like a weird diamond pattern thing going on. I don't know what that's about. Like on the away uniform sleeves, there's like a cross thatch.
Can I ask you guys something? So why would a football team name itself after a huge immovable statue?
I mean, there are weirder names.
That doesn't lend itself to. That doesn't imply speed, power, anything. That it's like you're. I mean, a monument seems like the anti-football mascot.
Well, I mean, your offensive and defensive line could be, big stationary objects that no one can move if you're, trying to be a little creative there. But I know what you mean. It's weird. No, I don't think anyone's ever named a team after buildings. But
yeah, no, that's what I'm talking about.
Other than the Giants, because you and I were talking about that earlier. Look, some teams have weird names that have nothing to do with their town, but most, like I just said, Giants. The Giants are named after the fact that they're tall buildings in New York. Eagles are named Eagles because that's where the country was founded. Cowboys, you can figure out where Cowboys comes from. There are a few like the Bengals where it's just a total non sequitur. But for the most part, teams have something that ties them locally.
My one adventure on Twitter this week was to respond to a dude, some random person who said that he had heard the name was Commanders, to which my response was, there's no trademark to this, and he got a bit offended by that.
By the way, you're not alone. He has been going through and getting offended to everybody who responded to him.
Oh, really? This is why I don't do Twitter. It's like, get over yourself, dude. But anyway, so let me just say this about. Yeah. Well, he put this thing, whoever the guy was, it's like I opened it to do my daily, we're advertising our content tweet that I always do.
Right.
And I see this. And he said, don't tell me, I can't tell you how I know, but it's the name's going to be Commanders, and trust me. My response to him in a retweet was, there's no trademark for any of this. And I wasn't even really saying he's wrong. I was just saying there's no trademarks. And that's what I wanted to say. I just, right before the show, checked the trademark records again, and there are no new filings with the exception of Washington football team, which they have been fighting about for a couple months now, because they're actually having problems with that one, even, believe it or not.
Which I don't even understand why they're bothering with that anymore. If they were going to move on.
Well, this is where I was going with that. Is it not possible that, because Alex deduced that the logo is a W. Is it not possible that the name is just going to be Washington football team forever?
I guess they could just keep it, and
it'd be a bit anticlimactic after all this.
It would be the most anticlimactic thing of all time.
It would also be very Washington to do this.
Yeah.
Personally, I've told you before, Alex, I'd rather it be Washington football team.
Right. Well, and unfortunately, I think your other favorite, Red Tails, is probably out because they've just kind of hinted too much that they're not going that direction.
Oh, have they? Yeah.
Yeah.
They
said they want something more local. Red Tails is just not local enough.
How is, admirals and commanders, is that local? No.
People who don't know DC think, oh, the Pentagon's there. Everyone works for the military there.
Well, there's lots of admirals all over the country.
Right. In fact, there are probably more admirals not in DC because we're not that close.
Well, no, that's probably not true at all, actually.
Wouldn't they be out where the
Well,
coasts
there's
are?
probably the greatest concentration of admirals would definitely be at the Pentagon.
The greatest concentration, but not like a majority, probably, right?
No, but the greatest concentration would be at the Pentagon.
Okay. If you want to just say like the greatest concentration, sure, but most are.
But it's not local. That's my point.
Right.
It's sort of a very vague, nebulous. It could mean a lot of things.
Commanders, I would say, probably not that great of because doesn't commander mean you're on a boat?
Well, commander is a Navy rank. Navy 05 is a commander. Then you could have, meaning Commander Smith or Commander Johnson.
Right.
You could, the name commander, there are unit commanders. You're the commander of a unit, meaning you're a commander.
And that's not just Navy, right? That's everything.
That's all branches of service. That's certainly not anything unique to DC, and it's not even really all that cool a military reference either.
No, because it's like a mid-level rank.
No, a unit commander, it could be the commander of a major command that has tens of thousands of people.
No, I meant the naval commander.
Well, the name, the rank of Navy commander is a mid-level officer. Yes.
Right. That's
nothing special. It's kind of like saying we're average.
Right. It's the second class lieutenants or something or whatever it is.
It's an 05. It's a mid, it's like middle management basically.
Gotcha.
So it's like saying, we're Wendy's.
Right. They should just use the GS scale or something while they're at it, in
the GS, we're a GS 11s.
Maybe.
Right. Naming the team commanders after the Navy rank is like saying, if you want to compare it to hamburgers, that's why I was saying Wendy's. Right. It's like if you want to rank fast food burgers, Wendy's is somewhere in the middle. That's what Commanders is.
Right. I got you.
To be honest with you, I think my two is Commanders. My favorite ones at this point, because we had 8 on the list, confirmed list that Tanya Snyder at least confirmed. And we know Red Wolves is out. Washington football team is going to be out.
Hogs is probably out, I think.
Yeah. My favorite too is Armada and Commanders. Like at this point, I'm cool with Armada and Commanders. I don't know about no Brigade But I'm those are the two for me.
For me, I mean, I don't want any of them, and I'm not going to use any of them.
Right.
And so I'm trying not to be facetious about this and snotty, but a big part of me doesn't care because I'm not going to refer to the team by any of these names unless it's Redskins, which it won't be. That's why I was kind of favoring Washington football team, because I can close my eyes and pretend and fool myself into thinking that it's not a nickname, and I can just say Washington. But if it's like the Washington Admirals or Armada or whatever, okay, wonderful. And if Jamal likes it, I applaud that. You have your taste. Me, I'm not going to use it.
Yeah, I mean,
So.
I've been trying to stay fairly neutral on whatever it is, because 99% of the time I'm disappointed in life. So, like, I just
in life, you're disappointed
yes,
in life.
Yep. Human existence, you have disappointed me yet again. That's how I put it.
Not a happy person.
Nah, just a realist. So let me sum up what's going to happen with these uniforms. Oh, I forgot to mention they're going to have a black uniform. So blah, that's disgusting.
That's not a team color. Why is there a black uniform?
That wasn't a Redskins color. They're trying to do a new thing.
It's still not a team color. The one thing Jason Wright has said repeatedly is that the burgundy and gold colors will stay. This is why I never liked the all-white uniforms, because that's not a primary color of the team. All white is not a team color. That's why I've never liked that.
Well, I'm just telling you, they've already said that that's going to be a thing. So just I think their white uniform is going to look terrible, and I think their home uniform, the traditional burgundy uniform, is going to look great. So
do you know anything about the pants, though, Alex? That's the question.
Here's the problem: they haven't put anything out about pants. I don't know if we'll have gold pants, white pants, black pants, purple pants.
Perhaps they're going to be just.
I saw burgundy. I thought I saw burgundy.
I'm sure they'll have a pair of burgundy pants. I was just looking at it.
I like, again.
Yeah, they got it right here.
Perhaps they're going to go pantless.
They'll just be wearing jock straps.
Yes.
That's one way to keep guys from sacking the quarterback.
I know, that's exactly right.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they have burgundy pants, but they didn't really show any like stripe patterns or anything like that. We have no idea what they're going to look like. That's my point. Whereas I could pretty much in paint draw you what the helmet and the jerseys are all going to look like at this point.
But what they blurred out, it looked to me like when I looked at the photo, and I didn't study anything like what Alex did, because again, I really don't care that much. I'm not a uniform person, in case you haven't figured this out, people. But it looked like there was a W on one side and then something else that they blurred out on the other.
Right.
Like not that it didn't look like a W on both sides. It was a W on one side, and then whatever the logo is, the real logo is on the other side. That's what I thought.
I mean, look, it very well could be that their W is one logo and there's a different logo, because one of the pictures they showed, and it's the one of the 3 stars, you see there's like a circle logo on the back of the jersey.
Yeah.
That's round. So
and it looked like there was some round circle thing on the helmet that they had blurred out.
Right. So they might have 2 logos. They might, some colleges do this now where they'll put a logo on one side and a jersey number on the number on the other, which is always a little weird to me. I
actually think they ought to do is just literally copy the USC Trojans uniform exactly.
They're getting very close. It's actually much closer to the USC Trojans now at this point.
Let's just become the Trojans.
Yes. We'll even use the name Trojans.
Yeah, the Washington Trojans.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? That's not terrible.
Not Redskins.
No. But it's better than Monuments, which might be the name. So
that's like I said. I think Monuments, objectively, yes, I've said my piece about Redskins, but objectively, Monuments just doesn't strike me as a football nickname. You're naming it after a giant stationary pile of bricks.
Sure, I get that.
That's not very football-y.
I mean, look, some teams have weird names. You know that. Like, if you really break down, a lot of names are very odd. Like animal names, fine. I kind of mentioned the Giants before. Titans. Why are the Tennessee Titans the Titans? That I don't think of.
Just generic.
There's nothing Titanish about the state of Tennessee.
No, it's just a generic name.
Right, exactly.
So is Armada. Armada would be a generic name, and so would, Admirals would be generic, and Commanders would be generic, and.
There's a basketball team called the Knickerbockers. They're named after pants.
I just want to know why it took them 2 years to come to this point.
Because, they got caught with their pants down.
It's like you guys agonized over this for 2 years and pretended to listen to the fans for 2 years and listened to Alex for 5 minutes about it. And then you've come up with either monuments, commanders, admirals, or armada.
Right.
That's what you ended up with. That is the result of 2 years of NFL brain power. You came up with that.
Well, I think brain power might be a bit strong of a word.
Yeah, it's kind of, yes, it's sort of like the engine that was in the Model T Ford in 1912, as granted. But I mean, what have you guys been doing? You know what it is? They are trying so hard not to offend everybody that they've got the most bland vanilla names possible. I guarantee you that's what's going on.
And it still will offend people. It doesn't matter. Someone always finds a way to be offended now. So
the one I could almost get behind and actually use maybe for real is Hogs.
Right. I mean, look, I said last show.
Yeah, you said
Hogs would probably be the one I'd go with, but
I could maybe get behind that one.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going that route just based on everything that I'm seeing here. Yeah, and who knows? Maybe they felt like that was.
And here's the other thing. Here's what I want to know: is the team going to refer to, for example, the 3 Super Bowl winning teams? Are they still the Redskins to the team?
Right.
Or are they going to say the Washington Admirals won the Super Bowl in 1983? Because no, they didn't.
Right. No, I agree with. Look, I'm a big believer when you refer to something that happened in the past, use the name they had in the past. That's
Absolutely.
Fine. I don't think that anyone should be upset by that. But some people, everyone's not calculating. What's the word? Overcorrecting.
Yes.
So.
I may have to republish my obituary to the Washington Redskins again.
Yeah.
It's one of my better columns.
It was a pretty good column. Publish it on February 1st.
Yeah, I know. Yes.
Right? That's the day to do it. Well, so regardless, I know even if I probably am going to hate the name, I'm sure I'm going to spend some stupid amount of money on next month.
Yeah, if anybody out there knows me,
I'm definitely getting a hoodie probably.
Yeah.
If anybody out there knows me,
don't get you anything.
Please don't buy anything. Don't waste your money because I'm not going to wear it. And so please don't. If you're listening to this and you know me, I don't want any of this stuff for my birthday.
Right. So Jamal, we have to go on eBay and find Steve like some old John Riggins stuff. I'm
gonna get him the new team stuff.
It just be you could waste your money on it. It'll sit in the closet,
That's, as long as you take a picture with it, like you holding it up, that's cool. Pictures last.
If you went through the effort of buying me a gift, Jamal, like that, I wouldn't insult you. I would certainly thank you for the effort, but just know and understand I will never wear it.
Cool. You can just take the picture. You know what I'm saying? Right, you in the same frame as the hoodie or the jersey. You know what I'm saying? Then do what you want with it because we still got the picture. So.
Well, see, if I was to do that, I would probably just take a picture of the jersey alone, like by the Christmas tree or something.
No.
That's unacceptable.
Nope. Yep. Not gonna work for Jamal, man. Sorry. All right. I think that kind of covers what happened with the name stuff and the uniform stuff. I'm nervous about it because Nike historically just screws everything up.
Apparently, trademark wise, they're just gonna gamble and they're gonna file it on the same day to have people like me.
I guess so.
Keep this, not blow the secret. I will.
Or they will bought somebody's, for cheap.
But like, for example, Washington Commanders isn't owned by anybody.
Mm.
And a lot of these names are owned by the squatters, Macaulay, and there's a couple others, and I can tell you that I guess I shouldn't say they're not paying too much attention to those squatters. I'll say it that much.
I know what you're saying. Yes. Yeah. They're not paying attention there.
So I will for you guys out there, because some of you asked me, and for Mark Tyler who's listening, I will keep up with the trademark thing between now and February. I'll try to check it every day if I can.
Sure. All right, let's move on and talk about the final roster moves of the year. First, there's a big story that you saw online that the team has re-signed Charles Leno to a 3-year deal. Now we don't know the actual numbers, but they're saying 3 years, $37 million. Of course, that's the funny money that they love to use at first. That sounds much larger than what they actually make, but that's what has been announced.
No, it hasn't been announced at all. This is John Keim reporting. The team has not announced anything.
Somebody told John Keim.
Yes. John Keim's tweet from 7:32 p.m. It would be 8:32 for you guys on the East Coast on the 5th of January. Washington has signed offensive tackle Charles Leno to a 3-year deal worth $37.5 million per source. Key signing was a pending free agent. And so, I mean, the 37.5, don't get too hung up. Yes, it's a lot in terms of average annual value. It's $12.5 million, and change. Don't get hung up on that. It doesn't mean there's a huge amount of guaranteed money, anything. It could mean that he's making 5 cents for years 1 and 2 and $37 million in year 3, and they just cut it. I mean, it won't be that. But my point is, we have no idea about the structure.
Right. Yeah. Of course, because that's the one thing with the NFL is they can structure things differently. It's not like the NBA or Major League Baseball where it's all guaranteed. So
even the NBA isn't all. Some of them aren't all guaranteed.
Yeah, that's true. But certainly it's more secure in the NBA than the NFL.
Absolutely. So we don't know anything about the structure, and so Leno is going to be the left tackle next year, though it appears. At least next year.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like, which is interesting because I think a lot of folks said if they didn't go quarterback, they had to get a tackle in the draft this year.
Not anymore.
Yeah, I guess not. I guess that's not their plan, which surprises me a little. But they like him for some reason. Any other roster moves, Steve? You want to mention?
Yeah, there've been a lot of people getting out of Corona jail. The bottom line, to simplify things, is that William Jackson is now in jail.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the only one. He's in a cell block all by himself. Now, everybody else is off the COVID list. They got Kyle Shermer off the COVID list and then cut him that same day.
Okay.
So congratulations, you're out of jail. Now get out.
Right.
Yeah.
He's free, Steve. He's free is what it is.
They truly released him out of But so now they are back to having, and they cut Paul Winslow, the practice squad punter, because Tressway's back, so he's out. So Washington is back for the first time in 3 weeks to having a 53-man roster and a full practice squad. They've got what are we number up to in the practice squad? Yeah, they have a full practice squad and a full active roster. So
all 60-something guys now, whatever it is.
Yeah, so they're gonna have to cut somebody. They're gonna have to cut somebody to bring William Jackson back whenever he's free. Yeah, I mean, he might not ever be free because the game is in 2 days. So you know.
The game's in a few days. I don't think it matters anymore.
No.
Yes. Good. Well, good to hear that we'll have everybody for this meaningless game.
Yay!
Yeah, because let's be real, guys. This game doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for New York. It doesn't matter for Washington. Like, the players will say it matters. The coaches will say it matters. But honestly, you're almost better tanking and getting a better draft choice at this point.
Well, let me ask Jamal and Alex's opinion, because I have a strong opinion about this, but I want to know how you guys feel.
Okay.
Are you guys of the type that root for a loss in a game like this to get a better draft position, or do you root for Washington to win?
I'll let you go first, Jamal. I need to think.
I was going to say, to be honest with you, when I think about a question like that, I really don't remember. Literally, in the sense that I've never been one, when the season is over, the season is over. So in my mind, when I see these games that come up, I'm just like, all right, can we hurry up and get this game over so I can look at some real football next week, which is the NFL playoffs. I really don't remember if I've said we need to lose this game or I hope we lose this game. It just, in my mind, I rationalize it okay, if we lose, I'm like, all right, well, you know what I'm saying? We look a little better in the draft spot, but it's not like I wanted them to do anything. So that's kind of how I always viewed week 17.
So not strong feelings either way.
Yeah, I was actively thinking about it as you asked. It was a good question. I really don't remember me doing it.
Okay. Alex?
In my case, there have been years, and if I go back 2 years ago when it was Washington versus the Giants, and the loser got Chase Young. In that game, I was actually A-okay with, rooting to lose because, you saw Chase Young there, a very highly touted defensive end prospect. I could totally understand wanting to lose to get that guy because, that was one of the top players in the draft. So I can logically see it there. This year, if we need a quarterback, and it's a terrible quarterback class by most accounts, I'm not rooting for us to lose because I don't think, oh no, you don't get Pickett or Matt Corral or one of these guys.
Tragedy strikes.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think the drop off between the third best guy and the fifth or sixth best guy is that big this year.
Especially
because I don't think any of them are superstars.
Matt Corral got hurt in the bowl game in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
For me,
I think it was Brian.
Oh, is it?
That's my guy right there. I'm clocking him.
Are you Olin on Corral?
I haven't watched this film yet. We'll get to that here in the next few weeks. But for me, I never root for Washington to lose. I don't care about draft. I'll worry about the draft and in the offseason. I don't want to see my team lose any game. I always root for them to win no matter what. That's how I view it. So in this game, knowing that Washington, if they lose, will have a slightly worse draft status, who cares? Yeah. Just play a good game. I want to see a victory. That's why I watch these games. I want to see my team win.
They say it's anywhere between 7th and 13th they'll be picking based off of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like you win and you're picking in the late 20s. So you'll still be high in the draft in my mind.
Sort of high. Yeah.
Yeah. Sort of high. Not super high.
So look, it's not a game that we're going to spend a ton of time previewing because there's no point. Mm-hmm. But let's say this. Number one, Joe Judge is a moron.
We should. Jamal, do you see what happened with Joe Judge today?
Today, yeah, I think today he had chose to not interview with the Washington press local media, right?
Yeah. He skipped the interview because of the stuff he said a few days ago about my players aren't fighting each other, which. Okay, who cares?
Well, and that's petty and silly and all of that. But I just think it makes them look weak and pathetic. If you're afraid of that comment, you're gonna be afraid to face the mighty Washington beat writers, none of whom are gonna grill you. Like a presidential debate. By the way, they're gonna ask fair questions and they're good people. But it's not like you're facing, a lineup here. I just thought it was weak.
Well, and he faces the New York media. They're
10 times worse than Washington's media.
Right. Look, New York, Philly, and DC all have pretty good media groups, just in general, in terms of sports media.
Yeah, I was in no way bashing Washington's media. No. They're not gonna grill him and be ugly to him like they would in New York.
They're not gonna be like, you went for it on 4th and 2, and I want you to die. They're not going to do that.
Right. I mean, they would ask fair questions. But so anyway, so that's that. But if you want to talk about this game, because we're going to talk about it a little bit, but we're not going to drone on and on about it. Just know this.
Because there's no point.
First of all, the Giants really suck.
Yay.
However, if you guys want to know the game in which they scored the most points this year, if you care to take a stab at it, I will spare you the agony. It was Washington in week 2. And granted, that was a long time ago. Daniel Jones was still in. This team somehow managed to have negative 10 passing yards last week, which is, I think, the worst in NFL history. I think.
That's net, right? Because that's
net.
Sacks included.
That's net passing yards, right? Okay. So anyway, Mike Glennon is hurt. He's not going to play. Daniel Jones is on IR, so they're down to Jake Fromm. And if you want Jake Fromm's numbers, they're not much.
Where's Jake Fromm? State Farm?
Yeah.
There's a dad joke for everybody.
Yeah. Which is a joke in and of itself.
Right.
His numbers this year: 29 attempts, 107 yards, 41% completion percentage, no touchdowns, 1 interception, 37.6 quarterback rating. So Jake Fromm is inexperienced and has not done well. Saquon Barkley has had a terrible year by his standards. He's been hurt and messed up. He's came back from that torn ACL, if you guys recall. So the leading rusher is actually Devontae Booker this year, which is amazing. But he's only averaging 4.2 yards per attempt. There's no reason why this offense should score 30-something points unless Washington's defense just goes completely in the tank.
Right.
They truly should win this game. New York's defense is a little better than their offense, but they're not anything to shake a stick at either.
Right. No. Washington should have handedly beat New York, I would think.
Washington is not a good team either. Don't misunderstand me, okay? It's just they're not as bad as this Giants team.
Well, they're healthier, which matters a lot, of course.
Yeah, so the Giants, I'm not going to read this whole list, but the Giants have 15 players on their injury report this week, including, like I said, Glenning, Dexter Lawrence, Saquon Barkley, Will Hernandez, Kyle Rudolph, who's had big games against us, Darius Slayton, Andrew Thomas. They have a whole bunch of starters on this. They are very banged up.
Yeah. This is look, this should be an easier day for Washington than what they've faced the last couple weeks versus
yes.
Yeah. Versus Dallas and Philly.
The good thing is Washington does know how to beat those teams who are down and out. They just lose to the better team. So they got a shot to win. I know we're saying that like in a non-serious manner, but because it doesn't matter. But I don't know. I always felt like, especially with Fromm and Glennon, like Glennon he was one of the worst quarterbacks I have seen in the past 10 years.
Terrible.
Just in a matter of 3 games played, even though I recognize it after 1 game. But if you lose to a Glennon or a Fromm, obviously we know that Fromm is starting. You lose to those type of quarterbacks, I don't care what type of season you have, you can't lose to them. You can't. No. I don't care what type of season you have, you cannot lose to either one of them quarterbacks. They suck, and that team sucks. There's no way you can lose.
The one thing about Washington this year is that they have beaten the teams they should beat. For the most part. I mean, the bad teams they've done pretty well against. It's just been the good teams that they get crushed by. So,
with the exception of Tampa Bay that one time, but
yeah, right. That was like an anomaly. Right. So yes, and Jamal, I watched the Giants Philly game 2 weeks ago over Christmas break.
Yeah.
My God, Mike Glennon is terrible. That dude should not be an NFL quarterback. He's just atrocious.
I mean, he's not even like, I wouldn't even want him if I were like an XFL team. He's just that bad.
I just thought he was terrible. Yeah. I think I would agree with Jamal totally. So there's no reason why Washington can't win this game. If they show up and they play like they mean it, and they play like they want to be there, and they play like they want to win, because these players, the fans don't care, certainly, but the players do, because they have their reputations and their contracts that they're fighting over. So, if the players are smart, they'll be motivated. And if they are, they really should win this game, even though it's in New York. And even though we said this before on other Giants games at the end of the year where Washington should win and they get skunked by the Giants. So it's happened before.
Yeah, I can remember a couple times where Kirk Cousins just laid an egg versus the Giants.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, but it is one of those things where, which team actually comes out motivated is going to matter early on. But I mean, you brought up a good point, Steve. The players are playing for jobs still. The coaches are coaching for jobs still. Like, it wouldn't be crazy if the loser of this game, like that coaching staff has some bloodletting, because both teams kind of have let their fan bases down a bit this year, honestly.
I think the Giants suffer from the fact that they've got a total nincompoop as the general manager in Dave Gettleman, and they've got a terrible coach as Joe Judge. They have a decent ownership structure, just the ownership is making poor decisions with regard to the football side. It's the opposite of Washington. Washington's got a pretty smart dude as a coach. Granted, he's had a bunch of challenges and all that, and we could question some of the decisions he's made. But Ron Rivera's not an idiot, and Ron Rivera's a decent coach, whereas Washington has an ownership problem. So they kind of have a backwards problem from New York, I think.
Yeah, I think that's actually pretty true.
Dave Gettleman's got to be the worst GM in football. One of them, at least.
He's up there. Yeah, I'd have to really. Whoever in Jacksonville is the GM is probably not very good.
Urban Meyer, was it not? Was he not in charge of everything?
I don't know if he was the GM. I don't remember.
By the way, good riddance to Urban Meyer.
Yeah. Did we talk about that when he got fired?
I don't know. Don't kick your players. Don't be a total jackass.
Right.
It's not Ohio State anymore, homie. It was the
Washington
NFL.
dodged a bullet. Because I mean,
Yes.
if they truly did ever listen to the fans, he would have been here instead of Ron Rivera.
It would have been a very Snyder thing to do too.
Yeah, that would be Steve Spurrier all over again.
Yes, only worse.
Yeah.
At least Spurrier's problem, in addition to just not being a good NFL coach, is that he didn't want to work. Right. Urban Meyer's problem is he's just a total and complete jerk.
Yeah. I've never heard of a man kicking his players before.
Well, I lost a lot of respect for him when he covered up various improprieties by his assistant coaches at Ohio State. That really turned me off of him.
Well, and there was a lot of stuff like that going on back when he was at Florida too. It sounds like.
Don't forget who coached Aaron Hernandez and ignored Aaron Hernandez's problems at Florida. It was Urban Meyer.
Right. And there were a couple guys, I think, who were getting in trouble there, and they just covered
Urban Meyer's a lousy human being, I think. And so good riddance.
Hold on. A college football coach is not a good person? I'm shocked.
News at 11.
Right. I'm shocked by that. Back to this game. I think we're all kind of in agreement.
We're totally bored with it.
Yeah, we're totally gonna. It'll be on TV, I guess.
Dave Earl and I will be covering this. Alex is out.
Yeah, Jamal's doing his thing. Jamal, I assume you're gonna do your post game thing.
Yeah, I gotta talk about this BS for some time.
Right. So Dave Earl and I will talk about this BS for 30, 45 minutes or so.
See if you can actually make a whole show talking about it and not get sidetracked like we do. Because
well, we've got to talk about something interesting. It's got to be something interesting,
right?
It certainly wasn't like last week. We spent half the time not talking about the Philadelphia game.
Could you blame us?
No, I didn't. I applauded. I did it.
All right. Well, let's do scores and wrap this thing up, man.
Okay.
All right. Jamal, you want to go first?
Sure. Look, I think Washington wins. I saw the spread was at like 6.5, and unfortunately I saw that and it told me ain't no way in hell Washington should be 6.5 points better than anybody, let alone be 6.5 points better on the road. So I think Washington wins, but I think it's probably gonna be like 21-17, 21-16, something like that.
Yeah, I don't think Washington's going to run up the score on anybody. And I saw the line like you did, Jamal, because I did the game preview. I was very surprised it was 6.5. I don't know if it's moved since then, but that was early in the week. That's way too big.
Yeah, I would expect a 3-point line kind of thing here.
Yeah, me too. I mean, who out there has confidence in Washington, for God's sakes? I mean, they've lost 4 in a row and just in agonizing fashion. I think Jamal's along the lines of right. I think it's going to be a boring, low-scoring game, basically. And because a lot of these guys, even though they shouldn't be, are kind of playing out the string here. So I'm thinking maybe like 17-13. Washington. I think Washington will win, but I think it'll be.
Look, I think we all agree Washington should win this one here.
Because, the Giants have – you want to know how many points the Giants have scored?
Give me the last 2 or 3 games.
In the last 3 games, they scored a total of 19 points combined.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's probably why your spread is where it's at. Because, quite honestly, the Giants might get 7 here, and that'll be that. Like, it could be that kind of day for them.
Washington's defense is a lot worse than Dallas and the Eagles, certainly, and probably the Bears, too. So,
Miami, too.
Yeah, they scored 9 against the only team they scored a decent amount of points in was the Chargers in week 14, and that was 21. Which is the most points they scored in the entire second half of the season.
Right. So here's my thing. I think Washington does show up pretty well here. I'm gonna say they do cover that spread, but mostly because I think the Giants they might get 9.
Bad.
Yeah. I could see something like a 17-9 win here. And so Washington covers, not a high scoring affair, but they win.
So Alex has got his money on Washington.
Sure.
And by the
I'm going to put all my money on that.
I would just, before we sign off here, So when we did our season predictions,
Oh, I forgot all about that.
I predicted 8-9. Jamal was at 10-7, and Alex was at 9-8. And we forced Mark Bullock to do this, and he was at 9-8 as well.
Right.
So I'm gonna be the closest no matter what happens.
Right. I think this is your first time winning in 6 years.
I don't think I've beaten you. I've been close, but you've always been like one game better than me, I think, Alex.
I would have to go back and look, but
I've been pretty close most years.
Yeah.
Most of the years, my cynicism wins out,
That's true. I'm looking real quick to see if anybody predicted. No, you're actually going to win like all the other people who we have send us theirs. Like you're closer than any of them because everyone predicted a winning record just about.
I don't know why anybody predicted a winning record. That's, I couldn't ever get past that. You won the worst division in NFL history at 7-9 with a massive quarterback problem and an underperforming defense and weapons on offense that needed help. And
we have a guy who predicted 12-5. What, like?
It's crazy.
I wish I were that optimistic.
When you think the defense is going to not be bottom third of the league, you kind of can't blame them for the expectations. Like I'm sitting here thinking top 10. I didn't think top 5 or top 3, but I thought top 10. And good Lord.
But also, the other thing for me was that Washington had a horrible schedule. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was brutal. And I just didn't think the combination of all the. Now, where I was wrong about was I thought they would probably be a better team overall, even though they wouldn't have a good record, but they were not a better team this year.
Yeah, I think one common thing, just glancing at that, is I think a lot of people predicted them to do way better in the division than they have.
Yes.
I think most people had them splitting, if not, going 4-2, or better. So, like that's what stings the most about this season. Like you came off a 4-game winning streak and then just got your butt handed to you by the Eagles and the Cowboys for a month. So, that's frustrating. Also, whoever in the NFL said, let's do like you play the same 2 teams for a straight month. That was idiotic.
It's like, just boring.
That's not fun. You got to spread those out a little better, NFL. I blame you for that. League.
There's probably a scheduling office in NFL headquarters that does this with a giant computer, and that's just the way it kind of spit it out. But yeah, I think they need to do better.
Yeah, somebody should actually look at it and say, "Hey, this looks odd."
Maybe why not have play the same teams for an entire month?
Right. All right. Well, that should wrap up this show, the first show of 2022, final pregame show of the 2021 season. Steve will be back. I will be out. Jamal's out. But Steve will do the postgame show. And then I guess we're going to once a week. We got to discuss when we're doing that, guys. We got to figure that all out.
Yeah, we'll let you guys know.
Yep. All right. We will talk to you all then. Later.